One day Jesus told a parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. So I thought the best way of demonstrating what this parable meant was to use some yeast and bake a loaf of bread. To do that, we'll need a pan, a little salt, some olive oil, some flour, and some water. This is the yeast that you buy from the store these days. It comes in a little packet, not quite like Jesus would have used. But look how tiny it is compared to that penny. It just seems like it's smaller than even grains of sand, and yet that yeast is going to work its way through the entire loaf of bread. We add a little bit of sugar to it and a little bit of water to get it going, and then it starts doing its magic. It starts breathing and creating little gas pockets. So we'll set that aside and then mix all the ingredients that we need for flour. Look at all the flour we have to use for 1 loaf of bread, and that little bit of yeast, which is already rising, you can see off to the side. Add a little salt, add a little olive oil, add some water, and then we mix it up with a spoon to form the dough. Of course, I don't want to forget the yeast. This little bit of yeast is going to work its way through the entire batch. I'll speed this up. Next, we take the dough and we pour it out on the counter, and we have to knead the dough. This is kind of fun. It's like playing with clay or Play-Doh. You roll it around with your hands, and that begins to mix everything thoroughly and form some gluten. I'll speed this up because you have to knead it for a long time to make good bread. So after you knead the bread, this is where we get to see the yeast really do its magic. You put it in the pan and just let it sit. Just leave it alone. Don't do anything. And in about an hour, watch that dough grow. It just grows and grows until it just almost comes out of the pan that it's in. And that's what Jesus was talking about. A little bit of yeast will work its way through the whole batch and do its thing. So we put the dough in a pan and we pop it into the oven. We let it bake for a little while. And then when we take it out, we have delicious bread. All thanks to the yeast. Jesus said that's like the kingdom of heaven. You do little good things through the day, and those good things work through all of life. They work through all our relationships. That little tiny yeast are like little good things that we do, and when we spread that through our lives, it spreads into other people's lives, grow and affects far more than just that little piece of yeast. The kingdom of God grows like yeast in bread. That's the good news that Jesus taught us in this parable.